Hello, listeners. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with Jonathan Robinson, who is a psychotherapist, best-selling author of 14 books, and a professional speaker who has reached over 200 million people around the world. His work has been translated into 47 different languages, and he's made numerous appearances on the Oprah show and CNN, as well as other national TV talk shows. Jonathan's most recent book is called Ecstasy as Medicine: How MDMA Can Help You Overcome Trauma, Anxiety, and Depression. In this book, Jonathan shares the best methods, stories, and ideas he's learned from leading over 700 MDMA journeys and teaching hundreds of therapists how to do this unique protocol. Jonathan's story is truly one where he is living for himself, and I hope you enjoy this episode as much as I did. Welcome to the Live for Yourself Revolution, where our mission is to highlight stories of intrapreneurs and entrepreneurs who are truly living for themselves. I'm your host, Dr. Benjamin Ritter, leadership and career coach focused on guiding you toward a career and life you can love. Thank you all for listening, and I hope you enjoy the show. So Jonathan, I honestly don't even know where to start because you have such an eclectic background. I mean, you have been featured all over the globe, and you have traveled, I think, even farther, internally and also just throughout the world, figuratively and literally, actually. So when you meet somebody and you're like at a dinner party and they're like, "So, Jonathan, what do you do?" How do you answer that question?
Well, I say that I'm a collector of methods for psychological healing and spiritual awakening. So, having talked to 100 spiritual teachers ranging from Mother Teresa to the Dalai Lama, and talking to most psychological known people in the world, I ask them, what is the most powerful and quickest method for helping us experience more love, peace, and joy and healing? And I collect those methods and then disseminate them to an audience. I also am a psychotherapist, so I help people to heal and connect with the peace, love, and joy inside themselves at an accelerated rate.
Wow. Well, first off, thank you for doing what you do and helping heal the world and heal the people in it. So if I was to ask you, what do you care about? Would the answer be the same? Or would it change at all?
Well, it would be similar, but it would be in the context that you can't heal the world until you heal individuals. And I couldn't heal others until I healed myself. So I was brought up in a very dysfunctional family, was suicidally depressed as a teen. And it actually became a mission to first heal myself and learn what really worked well. And then, through the various shows I've been on, Oprah, CNN, and all that stuff, to get those simple but very powerful techniques out to an audience, because a lot of people are hurting, and the world situation is where we are basically all experiencing that hurt, and we need to heal ourselves.
Wow. I am curious. They're so curious because it's almost like we just fast forwarded from dysfunctional family to Oprah. And I was like, hold on a second. Pause. What happened there? And I don't know if we can get the abridged version or the version that sticks out, top of mind for you, but I'd love a little bit more context to that journey.
Yeah, the abridged version is, when I was suicidally depressed as a teenager, I tried a lot of stuff. I found that Ecstasy, also known as MDMA or Molly, was very effective in unwinding some of my own trauma and neuroses, and also getting me in touch with peace, love, and joy, and as well as other psychedelics and other modalities. So then I found a spiritual teacher that helped me out, and he taught me how to work on my weak leg, so that as I became stronger and more peaceful in myself, I was able to, write books and be persistent. And Oprah saw that I was doing good work. I was on her show a bunch of times as someone who is kind of putting out the most practical and most powerful methods. I don't have a particular agenda other than let me steal the best methods in the world, present them to a large audience, and get people excited that change does not need to take decades. You can, when you find the right method, change your life very quickly. And I think Ecstasy is one of the leading candidates in terms of quick change. And that's why, I wrote the book Ecstasy as Medicine. And I'm excited that the FDA agrees. They called it a breakthrough therapy. And for the first time in history, they're going to take a illegal drug and make it medically prescribed because the studies show that it's just ridiculously effective in healing people.
Yeah, and the illegal piece, I think we could say came about for reasons that, are might for a variety of from a variety of places may or may not have been for cause. And it's nice to see us going back and using new research in, I believe also old research, you would be the expert here, for ecstasy to be perceived as medicine and a modality for healing.
Yeah, took a lot of money, a lot of studies to show that it's unequivocally both safe and very, very effective.
Now, when you were journeying and seeking, it sounds like different methods of healing, what were some of the, I guess, like themes or similarities that you noticed from a variety of different gurus, I think, and cultures and places around the world?
Well, people get stuck in their story. Their story might be that I'm a trauma victim or I'm a rape victim or I'm always poor or nobody likes me, whatever their story is. And if you can get people out of their story and into the present moment and learning how to tune into, what has been called the heaven within, then all of life is better. But the other thing I found is that different people need different things at different times. Some people, they get great success with meditation of different types, other people with psychedelics. And my job is kind of to be a midwife and find the method that works best for them. And one of the things I do when I do MDMA therapy with people is I can kind of get into a deep part of their brain and find out what makes them tick and how they can repair some of the conditioning that they had, and also how to find that place inside that is peaceful and loving. When you're in touch with that, all the little stuff of life doesn't make that big a difference because you can always find that place within that feels perfectly okay.
Hmm. How is it that MDMA is the focus right now for you personally? Because you've written a lot of books, been around the world,
Mhm.
and now this is the chapter, right? Not just it's of
Yeah.
the new book and of MDMA and ecstasy as medicine within your life and your practice.
Well, one of the things was that I got my master's degree on doing MDMA for PTSD back in 1984, right before they made it illegal. And I just saw that it was so effective. And I kind of didn't focus on that except as an underground therapist for a lot of years. But in the last couple of years, as psychedelics and MDMA has gotten more credibility and will soon be a medically prescribed medicine, I thought, it's time to let the cat out of the bag and let people know what I've been doing and what kind of results I'm getting. And I wanted to make it accessible to a lot of people. When it is made legal, the first clinics that pop up are going to charge $14,000 for this experience of using it therapeutically. And I wanted to train thousands of therapists on how to use this medicine and have them charge somewhere between $500 and $2,000. So that way it's available to millions of people rather than dozens of people. And so I'm excited about doing that at this point. And I realize just by happenstance, I'm probably I have the most experience. I've led 800 journeys. I did my master's thesis on this. So I just have a protocol that works. And MAPS, the organization that funded these studies, uses a protocol that is going to get FDA approval, but it's not really that effective compared to the protocol I'm using. They just put a blindfold on people and have them listen to music and hope that the pill cures them. And in fact, it does. But if you do actual therapy while people are on MDMA, it's even more effective. So I try to treat that approach, and I'm getting great results.
Take me back to the 80s for a second. So you're doing your master's thesis on MDMA. How does that even come to be?
Well, I come to use it as a drug for myself in the late 70s. And I entered graduate school thinking, I want to study this. It was legal at the time. So I had the idea, well, this seems to like eliminate fear. And it actually reduces blood flow to the amygdala, which reduces fear. So you can go back into trauma or anything and just be very open and peaceful as you're talking about it. So I thought it would be good for trauma, and it showed that it was amazing for trauma. It basically cured people who'd had trauma for decades in one day. And my supervisor thought, these results are so amazing that, you got to do a study again just to show if it's not a fluke. Well, by then the US government had made it illegal, and you couldn't do any more studies until the MAPS organization funded it starting about 20 years ago. But, that took a lot of years, a lot of patience, and about $40 million to do. I wasn't involved in that process so much, but I've been doing all these underground journeys. I found that certain methods on MDMA worked phenomenally well, and that there were contraindications sometimes. In the Ecstasy as Medicine book, I talk about this isn't appropriate for everybody. If you're on antidepressants, that won't work so much. Or if if you've had psychotic breaks, this isn't your medicine. But for most people who are trying to either grow spiritually or have a better relationship or deal with anxiety or trauma, it's kind of like a Swiss Army knife. It works incredibly well for a lot of different things.
Wow. I'm just thinking, you're in the 80s, you did this study, you get incredible results, you share it with, you're the person that's kind of overseeing you, and they go, great, this is amazing, do it again. And you're probably really excited about the implications of this research and what it means for your future. And then the government goes, nope, sorry, not happening. How do you handle that? Because, I work with a lot of clients on their careers, right? And defining and like really what matters to them, what's fulfilling, and then making it happen. It feels like you had this thing, and then it was like, nope, sorry, this can't be your thing.
Well, the old phrase, when one door closes, another one opens. And I just thought, okay, well, it's not the right time. Timing is everything. And back then I decided, well, I'll interview enlightened people. So I interviewed over, 30 years, 100 spiritual teachers, anybody that you probably know, I interviewed. I have a podcast called Awareness Explorers, and I'm still doing that. So, I focused in a different direction, and that was good. And now that it's back in vogue, now I'm back into the ecstasy business. And, it feels right that these studies were done. It got the credibility, and I got to lead 800 journeys. So I know really how to use it properly and how to use it improperly. So I just realized that, Guy, I'm the person who might know the most about this at this point. And that's how the training that I do developed. And now we've had several hundred coaches and therapists and other people learn how to do this particular protocol. So that's very exciting to me. People can find out about that at mdmatraining.net. But as I did that training, there's a whole community of people who are excited about it now. It's like a AI became popular last year because there was a new thing on the market with Chat GPT. But ecstasy, when used therapeutically, is like a breakthrough in psychology and spirituality, and it's exciting to see how we can use it to create more love in the world and maybe heal a lot of people.
Incredibly exciting, incredibly exciting. And I love how it came full circle to something that you discovered. It was a huge opportunity for you and the world, and now it is coming back, and we're only at the beginning of the therapeutic use of MDMA again, and I can't wait to see what happens. Uh, Out of curiosity, when you were interviewing all these enlightened individuals, I mean, I know there's a variety of different strategies to use, but how many of those individuals were open to the idea of psychedelics? Was it pretty prominent or common? Was it rare? Was it, oh no, we don't touch that?
Yeah,
What were the conversations like?
I found it interesting that probably 80% of them came to spirituality through psychedelics. So whether it be like, Ram Dass or Adyashanti or all these well-known teachers, they experienced the forevision that this is possible, and that got them interested in things like meditation. And the same was true for me. In fact, I have a funny story about my parents. My parents always wondered why I was into this stuff. And I said, well, if you're really interested in knowing why I'm meditating and all these things, there's this drug that can kind of give you a glimpse of that. And to my surprise, they said, well, yeah, can we try it? So I said, okay, here's the drug, here's the set and setting, you should take it in, good luck. Well, a year later, they hadn't mentioned anything to me. So I asked them, did you ever take that stuff? And they said, oh, yeah, we took it. And I said, well, what happened? And they said, well, nothing happened. It didn't work, which sounded strange to me. So I said, well, what did you do that night? And they said, oh, well, we waited 20 minutes, nothing happened. Well, it takes about 45 minutes for it to take effect. But they said, once it didn't work, we, had the whole evening open. So we ended up talking about how much we love each other and how wonderful our lives are. And we ended up cuddling on the couch, and it ended up being the best night of our entire marriage. The only disappointment was that the drug never took effect. So I'm laughing this whole time, Ben, and they didn't even know that was the drug. But I told them, well, that's what the drug does. It makes you open and loving and wanting to connect with people. And they said, well, how can we get that again? And I said, well, you might try meditating, or you might try reading my books and seeing all the methods I talk about. So it kind of opened up a new door with my parents.
I absolutely love that story. And I'm just like, it's the best night of our marriage. Well, you were on some supplements. So
Yeah.
it is I'm happy to know that it was effective and you didn't even know what was happening.
No, that's one of the things. If you take LSD, you're on a drug. But at medium or medium low doses of MDMA, it kind of just feels like you at your best. Like you're clear headed, you're peaceful, you're open, you're not defensive, you're loving. And, it just gives you a sense of, gee, life could be this way. And hopefully that motivates people. And, after I lead journeys, I do an integration session or two in which I help people take those insights and bring them into their life and bring some practices into their life so that they can get back to that clear-headed and open state without having to keep taking the drug.
Yeah, very often misstep from people that use any sort of supplement or drug uh, non-medically, non-clinically, is they miss the opportunity to integrate and to actually take what they've learned and what they've experienced and make a difference or take action. And from what I understand too about, I think the process that's been approved or pitched to the FDA, there's not a lot of focus on integration, is there?
Not the type that I would like. It's, I give people a motivational method that's really kind of unsurpassed in helping people be consistent with the things that they know would make their life better, but they don't always do, like exercise or meditate or acts of kindness or whatever it is. So with this motivational method and the clarity of insights that comes from MDMA, people can keep being consistent with the behaviors that lead to more peace, love, and joy. Whereas in the MAPS protocol, their integration is more like asking people, so how was that for you? And I don't think that's nearly as effective as ongoing behavior changes that are very precise.
Mm-hmm. So where does this all lead for you? So I actually would love also to understand kind of this career milestones, 1980s research. Okay, I'm still going to go down the path. I care about enlightenment, interviews, multiple global media appearances and books along the way. It sounds like leading different journeys, kind of in the a little bit under the radar. And now it's this new book, this new training program. What does the future hold for Jonathan?
Well, I like to say that I try to let go of my personal agenda and be of service. So what it looks like is kind of, the hot and cold game you play as a kid where you hide a pen and somebody says you're getting warmer or cooler.
Yeah.
Yeah. So imagine that the universe is playing that game with us. And when you do something and the results feel really great, you feel like, yeah, this feels good. And you feel like you really contributed. Well, that's a message from the universe that you're getting warmer. Or if you're stuck in a job and you're bored out of your mind and you don't feel like you're doing anything, that's a message you're cooler, do something different. And so I try to follow those warmer and cooler messages to know what I should be doing at any given time. And that seems to have worked really well for me. So as I help people with the ecstasy medicine or teach other people how to use this medicine properly, it always feels very alive and aligned with my mission. And I feel almost like I am a vehicle for helping bring this new technology into the world in a bigger way.
And there's this like underlying thread of helping people find happiness that is just so consistent in everything that you're doing. And I really appreciate also the hot or cold kind of uh, comparison of how do you know you're doing something right or doing something wrong, and not right or wrong, but more aligned, maybe less aligned, because
Yeah,
too often we don't trust.
more in the right direction, and
Yeah.
the universe is sometimes giving us those messages. It's a question as to whether or not we're listening to those messages.
Mm-hmm. I'm currently writing and finishing up my next book, Becoming Fearless, and often fear can get in the way of believing in the hot or cold feelings. And from what I have experienced and know about MDMA, it totally takes away the impact of fear.
It does do that.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can point yourself in the right direction, even just by asking a good question. Like, if I wasn't afraid of failure and I was not fearful of anything, what would I be doing? And that's a question I've asked myself a lot. And when you ask that on MDMA, the answer is usually like crystal clear. So I sometimes ask certain questions of my clients to help them get clear on what's important to them and what they would do if they weren't being so influenced by fear in their life.
Ooh. What is one of your favorite questions? Maybe that was it. What your favorite questions that the audience can ruminate on?
That's one of them for sure. Another question I like is there anything that you can find in your experience that currently feels peaceful or open or relaxed? And if so, can you just kind of savor that feeling and drop into it? That's a great question. And peace and love and joy are not that far away, but you need to be trained in how to kind of tune to those frequencies. And when you do, you're more open to intuition, knowing what to do with your life. You're more open to helping others. So I was lucky in that, I because I had a stepfather that beat me a fair amount, I realized that I had to do something internally because my external world I had no control over. So luckily, I started meditating and doing these psychedelics at age 13 to heal myself. And most people do reach a point in their life where they don't feel like things are that satisfactory. And psychedelics, ecstasy, and MDMA, same thing there, can be like a launching pad to give them a new perspective. And once you know what you really want, I love the feeling of being on MDMA. It feels fantastic. And I made it my life mission to get back to that state as quickly as possible, but without the drug. So that's where meditation came in. And, after a bunch of years, now I can get back to that state in about 30 seconds. Whereas, I spent my teenage years mostly trying to not kill myself because I was pretty unhappy at that point. So you can really go a long way if you're consistent with your dream and what you desire as the end target.
Mm-hmm. And I just want to call out the fact that knowing that there is better, or knowing that there's an opportunity to feel differently, and knowing that that level of joy, happiness, and contentment and comfort is possible is one of the gifts of something like this, something like MDMA.
Absolutely. Yeah. You can't go for something that you don't know exists.
Mm-hmm. And even just seeing that that's possible, just like anything else in your life, can be life-changing. And
yeah.
And so I really do appreciate your time today and the blip of your journey that we were able to cover. If our listeners want to find out more about you, about the book, about training, where can they go?
Well, about the book, I have a website called xtcasmedicine.com. And they can find out all about the book there, purchase it there. And they also can get a lot of free stuff like how to avoid bad psychedelic trips if they put in their email address, and also 12 questions that lead to instant intimacy with anyone. So I like to give away a lot of stuff for free whenever I can. If people want to know about the training, they can find out all about that at mdmatraining.net. And if they want to sign up for the training, if they use the word healing when they apply a discount code, they get a significant amount off the normal price. And I would encourage people to keep exploring that. Surround yourself with opportunities to learn about this stuff. Try it out, see what works for you, and now more than ever, we need people on board to help humanity go beyond its stuckness, which is all around us.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much for everything, Jonathan. I'll put those links in the show notes for everyone, as well as that promo code. And I look forward to seeing where this next stage in your journey takes you, and also how MDMA impacts the world.
It's going to be an exciting year. Hold on to your seats. There's a lot going on, and thank you for the questions. Great questions. And I wish all your listeners the best.
You've been part of the Live for Yourself revolution. If you've enjoyed today's episode, make sure to share with a friend and spread the good word. Until next time, keep on living for yourself.